Well, like today we had to build a shed, which
Yeah.
man, easy assembly, my asshole. Seriously, it was like,
Really?
oh man, we started at 10:30, 11. We finished at 5.
Holy shit.
It was
Was it one of those like
insane.
plastic
It
prefab
was a
ones?
plastic prefab one. The instructions, I have done Japanese Gundam models that have their instructions completely in Japanese that were easier to understand than the instruction they gave us. On top of that, they tell you to bring a power drill, but then they tell you to screw everything in with a screwdriver. I didn't use the power drill because I was afraid I was going to strip something or damage something.
Yeah.
Well, by the end, I realized, like, way too late in the process that they just put a screwdriver there, even though you could use a power drill through the whole fucking thing. So, like, I manually screwed in everything until the very end. And at the very end, I just looked at Melissa. I was like, I don't care what that instruction booklet says. I have to start using a power drill. So if I don't use a power drill, I will die. I will 100% die to a plastic shed, and you're going to have to live with that.
Time to get your fix. It's a horrible gaming podcast. It's not good, it's not great. Horrible gaming podcast. It's not even what you would call fair. It's really not that good. Horrible Gaming Podcast.
Hello, my name is Zachariah with Old Man Gaming, and for whatever reason, you have yet again decided to tune into a Horrible Gaming Podcast. We're back in full force today because I am not alone. With me is...
Neil, a.k.a. a tiny wizard.
And you... welcome back, Neil. You asked for a week off. You got a week off. I think we did a fun thing last week that kind of worked in the place.
Yeah, honestly, I messaged Zach separate after I had listened to it. I really love that. I love interviews. Like, I don't even care like who's interviewing who about what. I just love like probing the mind. That was really good. I think that was great and something that we should do again in the future.
Yeah, I think so too. It was really fun, and I was nervous about it, I'm not going to lie. But I think the three people too that ended up being the people that were picked are like completely opposite ends of the spectrum too, so they all kind of brought a different flavor to their interview. And I do want to one more time thank Melissa Van Sliders, Kev Too Tall, and Filthy Phil for, contributing your time to the interview. We really appreciate it. But before we get into today's show, which will be a normal show, it's just me and Neil ranting about video games, we have a few people to thank. Number one, if you're watching this on YouTube, behind the fancy timestamps, you're going to see some fancy graphics. The graphics that aren't stock photo, that are custom, are all given to us by Mr. Mark Bell. We thank him for that. And then, of course, the theme song was provided to us by the man who makes the music. He provides this and all the theme songs here at OMG, and we thank him for that. And I didn't say his name, Nick Van Sliders. Thank him for that. All right.
Horrible Gaming Podcast.
That brings us to the top of the show, our favorite segment, our first segment, and that's Fan Traction. That's where us, the co-hosts, talk to you guys, the fans. We read out your comments in all the different places that we get them. We use your comments to decide the Horrible Arena winner, and we just try and open a dialogue with you guys. So first and foremost, I think all of our comments on both episodes came from Kev. We appreciate it, Kev. But we're going to go back 2 weeks since I didn't do Fan Traction last week because of the interviews. So first and foremost, let's get into this. Neil, I like your ideas, but it's really just Mario Kart with Smash Brothers rules.
Yeah, a little bit. I thought there was going to be enough to differentiate it, but really it is just a kart racer, but Smash BS.
Right.
Not that it's bad. It's just lazy.
No, not at all. He then said, Zach, you get my vote, good sir, which I appreciate. So, didn't mean to start with the Horrible Arena, but that means that I got that win.
Oh, one vote this week?
Yeah,
that
just
late last
win.
week?
Yeah, I don't think we got any votes other than that. So I am now up to 14. Close the gap to 1. You have 15. You're still in the lead, sir.
Alrighty.
So continuing, Kev says, you don't conduct business on continental grounds. How dare you speak of John Wick and not recognize the rules? I don't remember what he said that was John Wick the first hand. This is just...
It was the week. There was the week
There was
prior.
a week before he said something, and I didn't quite understand what he was saying. It must have been something with the Continental. And Kev, I'm not gonna lie, it's 3 weeks out now. My memory is not good enough to remember what the fuck we were talking about. So I'm gonna move on to the next one.
No apologies.
No apologies.
No apologies.
I interviewed him. I spent 20 minutes on him last week, so he can't be mad. Victory for PC players will be when the only victory for PC players will be when the only exclusive, in quotation marks, games are made by that platform. If I want an Epic game, I will use their launcher. I shouldn't have to use a specific launcher for a game they don't make. That's my big PC issue. Well, that's fair enough. I don't really have anything to add to that. E3, okay. E3 should become a haven of small studios getting big exposure. Screw the console in-house studios. Let Microsoft, Nintendo, and Sony host their own dog and pony show. E3 can focus on companies determined to be being about a better video game. Oh, determined to be about being a better video game. Got it.
There it is.
Yeah, there it is. It was just the way I think there's a comma in there that needed to be. It's fine. Okay. I mean, that's an interesting thought. I don't know how much I love the idea of E3 being about smaller studios. Because, I mean, no offense, Kev. This is a good idea, but basically this is what every other show does now. Like Gamescom, PAX, like... all of those shows are about smaller indie studios stuff, right? So what's the point of E3? Like, the whole thing was E3 was the big guys. Like, I mean, I don't know. Do you disagree with me there, Neil?
I don't know. I think I see what Kev is saying there, and I do like that idea that because the major players out there, the major developers, platform holders, this, that, and the other, they don't need that exposure. They don't have to be at something like that.
Right.
So they're going to overshadow it. And truthfully, they can just go whenever they want anyways. I mean, they all have their own version of some sort of direct anyways. Mm-hmm. So they have outgrown E3, and it's been shown. What I think, as he said, what E3 should be moving forward is a place for those AA studios or like indie studios with a name behind them. I mean, even Devolver necessarily doesn't even need that anymore because they have their own directs every year. Yeah. But a place for those people to have their voice that is surrounded by those bigger voices. It's like when you go to a concert, there's always that dude out front of the concert who's playing a guitar, singing whatever, like, hey, buy my CD. Right. I'm an indie artist. They go to the big venues where the people who are already interested in that stuff go. I think that's a good idea.
Okay. I don't think it's a bad idea. I want to make that very clear before I disagree with you. I don't think it's a bad idea. I think that's cool. It's just I think that's what every other one of these festivals or conferences are doing already. Like I said, Gamescom, PAX, all of these guys are already doing this. They're already doing this. The thing that differentiated E3 from these guys was the fact that they had all the big hitters. So are they just going to fold into the same AA scene then? I don't know. I feel like they're just going to become a carbon copy of every other one of these big these shows that happen every month.
I mean, I think E3 could eventually evolve to be the one that's like, this is the summer game show. Just like how
Okay.
Game Awards are slowly evolving to be the winter game show.
Which that shouldn't be a game show, but that's a
No, it
topic for
shouldn't, but
yeah,
it's,
that's a topic for another discussion.
But that's the thing. I mean, we've seen that evolution. It
Right.
used to be about the actual awards for the games, and
Right.
now it's just like, you know, any other announcement fest.
Right. Well, I do want to point out one other thing, that losing E3, and I don't know that you correct this anyway, but that losing E3 with the big guys is that, again, E3 gave media people chances to get their hands on these games. And yes, the media is corrupt in video games. I've talked about it a lot. It's still better than nothing. It's still better than the companies themselves getting to completely and totally define the narrative. Like, I don't like the idea of the only way we get to see these games are when Sony, Nintendo, or Microsoft decide to show them to us, because if they're the only people doing the talking, we're never going to see the bad stuff.
Right. And that is
Right.
one point, like, that cannot be taken away from how things are. It's strictly just a PR fest. It's not really about the announcement. It's not for the gamers. It's for the shareholders. It's for the actual companies.
Right. So then we've got, he says, Cyberpunk 2077, best game ever, laughing face. We're going to talk about that, Kev. Then he says, they wanted to shake the system. I'm sure this is a quote. I'm not going to get it. He's going to be mad at me.
He just give up now.
He's already mad. I can feel it. McDonald's has a specific set of hardware made for their Coke machines. Filtering, water temp, everything is designed to give you the best Coke flavor. I don't buy that for a second. I think it's a moldy, tappy mess, but it still tastes damn good. Damn good.
I don't know if it's necessarily like a whole computer system, but I have heard before from people who work at McDonald's that, like, when the Coke people come, they do have, it's like more syrup, like in the concentration or something along those lines. That's why it tastes so.
It tastes good. It does taste good. Okay, so that was it for 2 weeks ago. Then we go back to last episode, which was episode 89. We did 3 interviews instead of an actual show. So Kev actually requested somebody else comment, and somebody actually did comment. So we can go into it. Kev, oh yeah, I got the episode name. Tons of smiley faces. He did. The We Don't Have to Cuddle 100% came from him in his interview. Then he said, halfway through my interview, and I notice you never took the Lucha Kid explanation down, laughy face. So I responded, and I'm going to elaborate on that. During Melissa's section, I didn't have any picture for, like, Prelude or anything that would, like, represent her. So I just put up the Lucha Kid picture from that episode we did in person at the dinner table.
Oh, God.
And then I just put at the bottom, I said, I don't have a great picture for Melissa, so you get to see Lucha Kid again. For whatever reason, the explanation of everything comes down during Filthy's section, which was in the middle. And then when Kevin's section comes up, his picture comes up, but that little subtext comes up again. So I don't know why it did that. I have no idea, Kevin. I really, like, that doesn't make any sense. Any of the mistakes that I could have made, it doesn't jive with why it would have popped back up. So I apologize for that. Jason then chimed in. Jason commenting, our C64 was hooked up to our old TV. This was referring to Melissa saying that her Commodore 64 was hooked up to her TV. So his Commodore 60, he also had a Commodore 64 that was hooked up to his old TV. Kev Too Tall then said Death Cubes and Swinging Climbing Co-op. Those are both great Prelude games. Speaking on what he thought were good episodes, and they were great. They didn't do as many views as I thought they would, Kev, but they're really great episodes to watch. And then Jason finally commenting on the infamous Southern accent. Southern accent situation that is always on this channel. there is quite a few Southern accents. Southern is one of the American super dialects, parentheses, along with Northeastern, Northern, Midlands, and Western. Another Southern you got Mountain Southern, Lowland Southern, and French Southern. And each of those got their own sub-dialects. And then you've got hybrid dialects like Hoosier, Apex, and South Midlands. Yeah, thanks, Jason. Yeah, I know I don't know my Southern dialects, and I always get crap because I can't tell Sniper Hunter from Filthy Phil when we're talking. I can't. They sound like the same person to me. And that bothers them because they're completely different accents, apparently. And my ears are just not good enough to pick it up. And I apologize because I think it's like the most inadvertent prejudice that that I put out there is that I literally cannot tell the difference between their accents. And there is apparently a ton of difference between their accents, and everybody yells at me for it.
I've been told at work that I have like a Southern accent that comes out from time to time.
What? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't. That's the thing. Well, like earlier, it was yesterday. I said I put something up in the window.
Oh,
and I was like,
a little bit there, yeah.
Yeah. And my boss was like, "I'm sorry, in the what?" I was like, "It's up in the window." He's like, "How do you spell that?" It's like there's a U and an H in there somewhere. I don't know, but it does. Like I do have like sometimes that slips out from me, and I don't know where it comes from.
Yeah, I don't know. All right, so that's it for fan traction. I think we're all done with fan traction. We can go on to our first talking point where I'm going to be very upset about things.
Yes.
Yay! Okay.
Horrible Gaming Podcast.
All right, so that brings us to our first talking point. And here we fucking go again. CDPR has announced their earnings for Cyberpunk 2077. It's made something like $13.7 million or something like that. Crazy.
Pretty big size chunk of change.
Yeah, and that they have only actually had to give out 30,000 refunds. Oh man, this makes me so mad. So do you want to say something before I go crazy, or?
You know what? I'm actually going to say one thing right out of the gate.
Go for it.
I'm pretty sure that you and I are going to make a lot of the same points on this.
Okay.
And I think you and I are going to be about on the same, because I think I just get this feeling that we had the same exact initial thought process.
Okay.
So I'm going to let you just go into it, and then let's just go from there.
Okay. All right. First of all, the fact that they came out and said that they had only had to give out 30,000 refunds. They only had to give out 30,000 refunds like it was some sort of fucking accomplishment blows my fucking mind. The 30,000 refunds, the only reason there's only 30,000 refunds is they didn't offer PC customers refunds. They did not do it. And you want to know how I know, Neil? You want to know how I know? Because I am a PC customer who asked for a refund repeatedly. All they do is they refer you back to Steam, and if you've played more than 2 hours, which I don't know if you guys have played Cyberpunk, but the fucking prologue is longer than 2 hours. If you've played more than 2 hours, you can't get a refund, period. So they didn't give any PC players refunds. And so the only real... And PlayStation didn't even put it on their fucking store, so the only people they offered refunds to were fucking Xbox players. That's it! That's the only people who are getting refunds for this fucking game. And 30,000 of them decided your game sucked. Like, I'm so upset that they just decided to pretend like this was a positive. And then they decided to announce that it's the most successful RPG launch in years. It is not the most successful RPG launch in years because you can't judge a successful launch just in dollar figures. First of all, the only reason you made as much money as you did was you lied to people. And you didn't give everybody who wanted one a refund. You didn't. Like, that's the only reason the refund count is as low. So, like, you've engineered this situation where it's the most successful RPG launch because you didn't allow it to fail. Like, I'm so mad. I'm so mad about this. I'm so fucking mad about this. Like, they just pretend it was a fucking accomplishment.
Boy, that was a spicy meatball right there.
Sorry, I'm very upset about our 2 talking points today.
Yeah,
very upset.
It's honestly though, like we did have the same thought process. The fact that they said, "Oh, well, 30,000 refunds. That was it. That's all we had to give back." Yeah, that's all you were able to give back, given the constraints that you put on people. And they want to say, like, Steam, our hands are tied on Steam because that's Steam's thing. Well, no, exceptions are made because, granted it was GameStop that made the decision, but GameStop was taking returns eventually. I mean, at first they wanted to dodge them left and right, but they got kind of forced into that position. And again, that could also be a part of where those returns came from too, is some at GameStop. But still, like you said, PlayStation Store was only on the PlayStation Store for a hot minute. It got pulled.
It was less than a week. It was less than a week it was on there, I'm pretty sure. Less than 7 days it was on PlayStation.
Yeah, that sounds about right. I mean,
so you're not even factoring that in, that like you're the most successful launch and your game got pulled from a storefront and not allowed to get put back up there.
Yeah, and that's the real kicker of it. It's like, yeah, okay, it was successful by a monetary standpoint. But when you had to subvert reviews by only providing specific footage, by only giving PC codes, by, all this other crap, all of the refunds, all of the endless bugs, game-breaking bugs, the videos all over YouTube of the glitches and everything. Hell, I mean, I even put some glitches up in my one terrible talk that I did about Cyberpunk. Like, all of that, and you wouldn't say it was the most successful launch. Yeah, sure, it made you money. Yes. Yeah. Anything can make somebody money. Anything can be successful by that figure, but is that truly really success? Absolutely not.
This is like somebody breaking into your fucking house, taking all your shit, selling it for money, and then calling you up in the phone and telling you they had a great year for making money because they stole your shit. Like, that's what these fucking people did. They perpetrated a crime and got away with it. And now they're on every fucking news outlet telling us, hey, we did great. We got away with this crime. Like, it's fucking atrocious. And I do just want to go back to the point that they have not allowed any PC people, like, they haven't helped any PC person get a refund. None of them. If you had gone to their site when they were doing the Help Me refund, they immediately referred you back to the launcher that you bought it from, whether it be Epic or Steam. Both of them have a 2-hour minimum. Like, if you've played it for longer than 2 hours, we don't give refunds, period. So they didn't help anybody. They didn't pay anybody out of pocket for this fucking game on PC. They just pretended that they were going to help you and then never did. And how many people wanted a refund, didn't even try because they knew about the Steam thing? You know what I mean? Like, this is...
Doesn't CDPR own GOG?
Yes.
So I don't know the answer to this offhand, but it would be really interesting to see if they put Cyberpunk up on GOG and to see how many refunds came from that too.
It would be. I wish I had those numbers. I really wish I had those numbers, because I bet you 10-1 they didn't offer one person a refund on it.
You know what's also funny too, a little side story that's kind of associated with this. Apparently, somebody asked for the sales figures for the Stadia version of Cyberpunk, and the response from the executive was literal laughter. So there's that too.
Yeah, that is funny.
Yeah, I can't quantify success by strictly just numbers. I mean,
No.
they're a business.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they're automatically trained to think that way. And in our capitalistic society,
Yep. We talked
there's
about it.
that is how people judge success. But at the same time, they now have Cyberpunk that was so bad that like other people, like I wouldn't be surprised if Outriders did the things that they did.
Yeah.
That or the things that People Can Fly did with Outriders to avoid a situation
to avoid being a cyberpunk. That's exactly right. Like I've said that since the beginning.
Tale. So I mean, if you want to judge that as a metric of success,
right.
Oh well, we were the cautionary tale. If they came out and said something like that the one like, oh well, we know we dropped the ball because they've come out and let us know many times that they're just so sorry about how everything turned out. And if they actually had the wherewithal to say, it's like, well, this is also an issue that's within the industry and people are learning from our mistakes, I think I would respect them a bit more in their position. But to just flagrantly just like know that you had to offer refunds on this game and be like, I was successful though, I got the monies, I got all the monies.
Pretend it was a great thing when it wasn't. The other thing that bothers me too is I firmly don't think you can judge success in an industry that doesn't allow for refunds easily. Like they gave out 30,000, and that's an accomplishment in a industry that is notorious for not giving easy refunds. And I'm going to tell you guys right now, the Help Me Refund thing is bullshit. They didn't make it any easier to get a refund. They made it just as hard. Trust me. Like it just bothers me that they're basically screwing us over and then telling us we liked it the whole time. And that bothers me. It bothers me beyond a shadow of a doubt. It bothers me. Like I don't know. I really want that company to burn, and it looks like they're making money hand over fist and they're fine. So
I mean, they bought a new studio. They're moving along on their roadmap. I saw something along the lines too that they found something to where they're attempting to, I guess, patch in stuff that was cut. I don't know if that was the community via mods or if that was an official thing.
Right.
But I mean, even still with their roadmap and even how they're still just like, oh, we want to do multiplayer, but like, no, not really. But like, yeah, multiplayer. Like they don't even know what they're doing with it. They're, talking about developing the next Cyberpunk game. If that's what they're even doing, they don't know what they're doing. It's just kind of more of this flubbing around trying to figure out what's going on. I mean,
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but what bothers me too is that again, when I say I want to see this company burn, I don't want to see anybody out of their jobs. I don't want to see anybody like poor, especially in this climate. But at the same time, this industry that we love so much, that we spend so much time in, doesn't learn anything from this now. Like now every other company looks at it and goes, they got away with it, we can get away with it too. And that's the problem. Like until one of these companies burns for this kind of shit, everybody's going to keep doing it, and it's just going to keep getting worse. That's why I'm kind of hoping something comes out of the lawsuits, because this is like somebody has to go down for this, for the other companies to say, we can't do this anymore, And that's, I mean, sure, there's going to be some good companies that just change the way they're doing stuff because of what they see going on. And, you mentioned the Outriders. I 100% think that People Can Fly. They had a rocky launch. I think they handled everything they had to handle correctly. I think they were very transparent about their delay. They were very transparent about their launch. I don't necessarily excuse the bugs. I never will. Or the server errors at launch. I won't excuse that. However, they definitely looked at what Cyberpunk was doing and said, we want to do something different. And because of that, they got out of it pretty unscathed, And that's great. But at the same time, finding out that CDPR is kind of getting out of it unscathed bothers me because now every other evil company that's not going to look at it and go, look at it like a cautionary tale is just going to do the same shit that they've always done. You know, and I feel like the entire industry was looking at CDPR and this mess to gauge what they can get away with. Now, they can get away with anything unless those lawsuits murder them, which I hope they do. But, like, they can just keep on raking us over the coals like nothing matters, you know?
Yeah, and again, it goes back to, you know, the fact that a lot of this stuff has been happening. And to go back to People Can Fly, I mean, sure, like, they had these issues, this, that, and the other thing. But like you said, the transparency, the demos, hey, here's everything. Hey, you know what? It's not up to snuff. We're going to delay it.
Right.
You know, outside of that, you know, we had, or aside, the other side of the coin, that is we have CDPR with Cyberpunk, to where everything was just swept under the rug, hidden, like it wasn't gonna, you know, anything was gonna come of it. Like they thought that maybe if they didn't show it now, it's not something that would come back later. You know, that stuff was gonna get out eventually, and it did. And it was a lot worse with Cyberpunk because we were all told that this is good, great, wonderful. This game's done. We've just been polishing for the past 2 years. Like, that is the most unpolished turd I had ever seen.
Yeah.
But, I mean, it's just what you put forward. And again, if Cyberpunk came out with a demo and we saw that this was what it was and we saw all the bugs and stuff like that, I feel like there would have been outcry. There would have been some who would just be like, well, it's just the demo. It doesn't matter.
Right.
But there would be a fair amount of people who say, like, this is the demo and we've got this much, like maybe something could happen with it.
Right.
And then at that point, maybe they would listen to people and delay it. But again, they seemed like they were really, I mean, they put the game out.
Yep.
They put that game out back when even the people who were physically developing for it, when they said last year, well, the previous year, it's completely playable start to finish. It's just polished now. And the developers had said, like the physical programmers said, no, it's not. It is not ready to go. I don't know what you're saying. No, it is. Don't listen to them. It's ready to go. So this is what they wanted to give us.
Right. Right.
So.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. And I don't know. I don't have anything to add to that. I think that we've kind of covered everything we can. I think I just want to say to any of our listeners out there that think for a second that they had a good launch, they didn't. This is smoke and mirrors in a system that is designed to screw us over, basically. And they're using it to the fullest extent that they can.
Absolutely.
So, all right, well, let's move on to the second talking point because I need to conserve some energy for that.
Oh, okay.
All right.
Horrible Gaming Podcast.
All right, so our second talking point is just a comment from a guy. And it's just got me so mad that I want to spend a good amount of time on this. This is going to be a real angry episode, guys. Sorry it is. But recently, the Days Gone director / creator, John Garvin, did an interview with David Jaffe, I think, on YouTube. And he said some comments. You may have heard them. If you're deep into gaming, you've probably heard them already. If you're not, I'm going to read them now because I want to make sure that I say his comments correctly for when I respond to them. So he says, I do have an opinion on something that your audience may find of interest, and it might piss some of them off. Yeah. Garvin replied to something else. If you love a game, buy it at fucking full price. I can't tell you how many times I've seen gamers say, yeah, I got that on sale. I got that through PS Plus, whatever. To which Jaffe responded, but how do you know you love a game until you've played it? To then he continued to say, I'm just saying you don't, but you don't complain if a game doesn't get a sequel if it wasn't supported at launch. Garvin replied, it's like God of War got whatever number millions of sales at launch and, Days Gone didn't. I'm just speaking for me personally as a developer. I don't work for Sony. I don't know what the numbers are. Okay, all right. So I got a couple of things to say, and I hope you don't mind. I'm just going to lead right off.
I wouldn't have it any other way.
All right. Number one, I'm going to get this right out here right now. Fuck you, John Garvin. Fuck you in your face. But here's why. Number one, how dare you play your broken-ass piece of shit game to God of War, which I might not like it, but is hailed as one of the greatest games ever made. What the fuck is wrong with you? Number two, how dare you tell us, how dare you lecture us for not buying your piece of shit game at $60 full when you can't even get your fucking launch right? It is a buggy-ass piece of shit that scored at the highest a 6 out of 10, and you want us to pay full fucking price for your game. Number three, games cost a ton of fucking money. We don't all have a ton of fucking money to give your fat fucking cat ass every time you want to buy a new fucking car. Maybe if you had made a good game, you hadn't overhyped it, you hadn't lied about it, you hadn't released a shitty game, well, maybe we would have bought it full price and it would have sold and you'd be getting a sequel. So, fuck you. Fuck you in your face. It's not our fault that you're not getting a sequel. It's not our fault that the game didn't sell. It's your fault. It's your fault the game didn't sell. It's your fault you're not getting a sequel. And it's your fault that we'd much rather play your shitty game for less than full price because guess what? It's not worth $60. All right.
He just ended it all right. Good.
Well, the only thing to go further than that was to like punch something, and anything I punch here costs like $500 at my desk. So
don't do that. Don't do that. This whole episode is just fucking spicy.
We've been angry the whole time. The whole time. The world is red right now.
You're like Bruce Banner in the first Avengers. So I'm always angry. So here's the thing. At its face, objectively,
okay,
with no nuance at all,
okay,
what he's saying makes sense.
Okay.
With zero nuance and context.
Right.
So that is the only good thing I'm going to say about what he said. But yeah, that's the thing. Just because, your game didn't sell copies, that doesn't mean shit. Games get exposure to build a fan base.
Yep.
This is one of the main reasons why I'm not that big a fan of new IP. Because something like this can come along, it's not handled well, and it's not good, and then it's never going to get a sequel.
Okay.
Days Gone is not going to get a sequel. Now,
right.
I'm not saying all new IP are like that, because that's a very broad stroke.
Right. And I do want to, I'm sorry to interrupt, but I got to say this before I lose it, and it's a good piece of words. That isn't. But what I'm about to say is...
Those were really good words.
The other thing is if Days Gone was a 10 out of 10 across the board and it didn't sell and he went on to an internet interview show and said that, I'd be a lot more likely to be like, okay, I kind of get where he's coming from. This game sucked. It is a cult game at best, but almost everybody, it never scored higher than a 6 on all the reviews. Look at it on Metacritic. Nobody really liked this game. It was really hyped up, and then when it came out, it failed everybody's expectations. That's a big thing that I want to hammer home. This guy is talking about his game like it's a masterpiece that's overlooked. It's not. It's not a masterpiece that's overlooked. It's the second Mortal Kombat movie. It's terrible. Not this one. The Annihilation, the crappy one from long ago. It's the original Street Fighter movie. That's what it is. It's not overlooked.
Don't you touch that movie. You stay away
I will.
From that movie.
That movie's awful, dude. Come on, man. I like bad movies, and that's awful.
Oh, it's horrible. No, it is horrible, and that's why it's so great.
Yeah, it is a fun hate watch. It is a fun hate watch. I do like to watch it and make fun of it. There's a lot of nuggets in there.
So, but back to the original turd.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so it's almost like it's like a kid whenever you
Yep.
give them like they want the whole cake, and you only give them a piece. No, I want the whole thing.
Yep.
Like, well, no, nobody wants to give you the whole cake because, of course, we always have to bring it back to cake. That was unintentional. But anyways,
The cake is angry today.
angry today. He's almost discounting the people who got it on sale. Like, what about those who maybe they didn't have, like you said, like games are expensive. They don't have money at that point in time.
Yeah.
Maybe they had only just heard about it, just got into gaming.
Right.
There's, like I said, there's a lot of nuance to this whole argument. I mean, again, on its face value, like something like the Metroid 2 remake for 3DS.
Mm-hmm.
That did not sell very well.
No.
And it was something that people had been dying for.
Yeah.
And believe me, it scratched my itch.
Right.
I love that game. But at the same time, if that is a metric for success to greenlight, say, something like a Super Metroid remake, Nintendo, please don't do it.
Yeah.
But like, if it was something along those lines, then yeah, what he is saying makes sense from a business standpoint. But again, back just like with CDPR,
right?
Money is not the only metric to success,
right?
If his game was, it's not that the game does suck, but it was good enough to be included in sales for like $20 instead of $60,
right?
Or be able to be on this PlayStation Plus, the PlayStation Collection, stuff like that. If people are only getting into it because of those things, that's not something that's held against the fans.
Right.
That's something that builds your fan base further.
Right.
You should be embracing that.
Yeah.
Like companies that, like whenever a company would go ahead and let's say they put out a new game, but they have one of their big updates happen after it goes live on a service like Game Pass, something like that. That is good marketing. That game did not get marketed well. It did not launch well.
No.
Nobody really liked it. So obviously it's not going to sell. And honestly, too, given his comments on it, it just sounded like he was bitter because he lost out to God of War and didn't want to move his launch date.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, and going up against God of War, what did you think was
God of War? Right. The other thing too, I also want to point out too, if you have money, that's great. I am very happy for you. Like, you should not be, no one should be, unless you're a criminal, you shouldn't be ashamed to have money. But at the same time, man, how dare you lecture people in one of the hardest times out there to be a human on this planet monetarily for not having enough money to buy your fucking game? Like how many people do you think got it in a special because like that was the only treat they had and they managed to squeak out $20 that week when they were like, you know what I mean? Like, come on, man. This is a tough time, and you want to get on people for getting discounts on a game, and $60 is expensive, man. It's expensive for games. Like, games is one of the highest grossing industries in the world, and the fact that like they're like we don't make enough money on it is a topic for another discussion, definitely. But like at the same time, like they're very expensive. Like $60 is big. Like it's big. It's big. That's half of my groceries for my entire family for a week. For a whole week.
Yeah. And
6 days worth of food for 3 people I can purchase for $60. So like, I mean, it's not small. I don't understand why we would try to make people feel like shit for getting it in like a discount or something when like I would be like, hey man, I'm glad you got to play my game. Right.
Like, and what gets me too is like, I've made mention about this game before too, because we have a copy of it.
Yeah.
We got it.
Yeah. We talked about it.
We got it for free.
Mm-hmm.
the deluxe edition for free, like a week after.
So this guy fucking hates you.
And it's horrible. It is objectively really bad.
Yeah.
I cannot get through the tutorial. I wouldn't say I'm like number one master gamer, but I also don't suck. And I would think that a tutorial motorcycle chase scene, the very first thing that you do in the game, would be easier to do than that.
Right.
But here we are. Like, I didn't get through it because it was so bad.
Right.
The reviews were not great. The glitches and bugs were not great.
Right.
It had a bad development cycle. Maybe, Home Slice, you should consider what happened in the run-up to your launch,
right,
and not the actual launch itself. And, look in a mirror or something like that.
Right.
It's ridiculous. And the fact that people
if God of War had flopped and that guy had gone on and said something like this, I'd be like, I kind of see where he's coming from. Like, this wasn't God of War, And
of course now, too, there's the petition to get a sequel made and this, that, and the other thing. So now this guy... like, is he like vindicated now? It's like, see, people actually want my game. But like, at the same time, I want to know how many people of this signature campaign got it for free,
right?
Used at discount, stuff like that, which further drives home the point of just because you're not spending $60 to the game doesn't mean you're a fan, that you're like not a fan or whatever of the game.
Yeah. I hate it when anybody decides, like, just decides universally, like, something like this. It's like, oh, these people are wrong because of this. I hate that. I hate that shit.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think we've covered all the rage. We can move on to odds and ends, which are a little bit happier for me, at least.
Yeah. I got a fair amount of odds and ends this week.
Yeah, because, we did have 2 weeks.
2 weeks. 2 weeks.
I've got 4 of them. so yeah.
Oh, we're gonna have a longer odds and ends.
Right.
Then.
That's why I'm trying to get to it a little bit earlier.
All right. Yeah, we can stop yelling at internet assholes for a minute.
Stop yelling at people. All right.
Horrible Gaming Podcast.
That brings us to Odds and Ends. Odds and Ends is a little segment we like to do where we collect news stories that don't necessarily deserve an entire talking point, but something we want to mention to you guys, and we just want to riff on for a second or two. So we both have 5. It doesn't matter to me which one starts then, Neil.
I'll just go.
All right, go for it.
So, right out of the top, the Apple and Epic fight is continuing, and apparently... the CEOs of both companies are expected to testify in the ongoing lawsuit as this continues to drag out. So now we are going to hear from the actual CEOs as to their business models, this, that, and the other thing. I'm sure it's going to be splitting hairs, and this guy kind of does it like this, so I don't like it. You can't compare me to him because X, Y, and Z, and this is a different industry, and blah, 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 all that sort of BS.
Right.
So yeah, but this is still a very relatively active court case.
Yeah, honestly, that kind of a court case too, I would not be surprised if that doesn't end until 2023, honestly.
Yeah.
Those things just drag out and out and out and out. We'll start to see repercussions of it after that, but until then, I think this is just going to keep on going and going and going,
Yeah.
All right, so where should I start with mine? I think I'm going to start with the dumbest one. There is a new webcam out, man. I don't know if you've seen it. It's been making the rounds, and I wish I had actually written down the name of it, but you can just search for it and say webcam human eye, because that's right. It's a webcam that looks like a fucking disembodied human eye. It blinks at you. It follows you around the room. It's the creepiest damn thing I've ever seen in my entire life. And it's a real thing that exists.
Oh, I fucking hate it. Oh, my God.
You just searched it, didn't you?
Right now. It is disgusting. It is an affront to all humanity.
It is.
What is this?
It is.
Who thought this was a good idea?
It looks like something out of like fucking... Total Recall or something. It is the creepiest fucking thing. I urge any of our listeners, search it out. Search out the webcam that looks like a human eye. You'll find it. It is the creepiest thing you will ever see. It's not a human head. It's just an eye with an eyelid that just sits on top of your fucking computer and like follows you around the room, and it like blinks at you, and like it's terrifying. Terrifying.
It's like somebody just like carved out the chunk of
Yes,
somebody's
yes.
face
Yes.
and just threw it. Yeah, just kind of threw it on a computer. Oh
Yep.
my god!
It apparently learns things too, like learns how to
And
talk to you.
I'm looking at a video, and it like literally tracks and replicates what your eye is doing.
Yes. Yes.
I don't like it. I don't like it. I don't want it. We
Kill
don't
me.
need it.
Every moment I live is agony. that's all I think about.
Oh god!
All right, so you go ahead and go with your next one.
Oh, it's so disgusting.
It's so disgusting. It'll haunt you. It haunts my dreams. It straight up does.
Oh, all right. So, individual named Takia Imamura, the guy who who basically created Captain Falcon and Fox
Right.
McCloud,
Right.
said that F-Zero isn't dead. It's just hard to bring back without a huge new idea. Okay, so why are we on Mario Kart 8 now? And it's the same thing over and over? Like,
Right.
throw items into F-Zero. Make it a battle royale. It'd be easy. It's 30
Yeah.
racers in every single race. That'd be great. I don't know.
Just make an updated F-Zero game. like just remake it for this generation, because the last generation we got was what, 64?
No, it was the GameCube.
Oh, we did
It
get
was
a GameCube.
Super Nintendo,
on it. Okay.
Nintendo 64. Then it came to the GameCube, but it also launched an arcade at the same time. And you were actually able to take your custom made, because it had like a ship builder in it. You could take your custom made ship on your GameCube memory card and put it into the arcade machine and play your custom ship in the arcade game.
Oh, cool. Cool.
Yeah, I love F-Zero. It's about one of the only real racing games that I really enjoy. I still from time to time put in F-Zero GX in the Wii whenever I get a chance. It's very good, and we are long overdue for a sequel.
Yeah, I mean, even just remake that one to Switch, like, would be nice, honestly.
Yeah, honestly, yeah.
Yeah.
I'd spend $30 on it.
Right, yeah, straight up. Okay, so this one I'm very excited about, and I'm anybody who thinks I'm a Microsoft fanboy. Discord turned down Microsoft.
Oh, there's one of mine.
Okay, I knew we were gonna overlap. We just had too many. There was just no way. Yeah, Discord basically was like, you know what? Nope, we're staying independent by Microsoft, and sent Microsoft packing. And again, you know, you and I had a large discussion about this, I think like 3 or 4 weeks ago. And
Yeah.
I'm kind of glad. I want that to be an independent place for all gamers to be able to get together. And while I think Microsoft is very forward thinking on that sort of thing, I think the companies around it aren't and would cut off support for it.
Well, I will say the article that I read about it did say that Discord is considering putting themselves up for sale publicly. So that doesn't mean that, you know, that somebody else could come in and try and buy it. I think at that point it would be some other VoIP service that would take it over. Not necessarily, because let's be real, Sony's not going to want to jump on it because they're just Sony.
They're Sony.
Microsoft, they've already done it, and Nintendo would want nothing to do with it because it's quote too mainstream. So I mean, I
don't think Nintendo would have any real use for it, which is sad because I think if anybody could use voice chat support that's already integrated, the Switch.
Nintendo.
Like, how awesome would it be if Nintendo stepped on, bought Discord, and said, okay, let's just integrate that into the Switch, and then the Switch has Discord connection. Man, you'd be that'd fix half the Switch's problems right there.
Yeah.
Okay, so go ahead with your next one then.
All right.
Sorry, I stole one of yours.
No, it's good. It's totally good. I'm honestly surprised. I was going to be surprised if we didn't overlap on one. So a little while ago, Lego released a Mario set. It had this weird digital Mario that its face changes and stuff like that.
And then you can make a level for it, basically.
You make a level for it out of the Lego. So it got an update recently. It gets wireless updates sent to it, which is really weird to think about. You know, Mario receiving an over-the-air update. And after the most recent update, apparently this Mario Lego figure starts crying out for Luigi.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's how they teased their Lego Luigi launch.
Which is now up for pre-order. But what blows my mind is the crying out. Like, could you imagine being a kid, like, playing with a toy that just starts crying out for its brother? That's creepy as hell.
You know, what'd be extra creepy as hell is if, you know, it's sitting on your shelf and it just lights up in the middle of the night. No, that thing would get thrown in the garbage.
Yeah, it'd be done
immediately. I do not care. It's
that's Furby levels of evil.
A soul and a life and a purpose. That is not something that I'm jiving with, bro. You are plastic. You are Lego. I don't need my Lego sets playing with me.
All right. All right, so my next one, Sucker Punch is hiring to launch a new multiplayer IP. And some people say this comes from the success of Ghost of Tsushima's multiplayer edition, that they're going to be doing a game focused on multiplayer. That makes me intrigued, let's say.
Yeah, that'd be a little interesting. I would think it would be great to, you know, do like a feudal Japan war battle royale sort of thing. I'm not that. Ghost of Tsushima really did not appeal to me because it's not like my sort of game. But if you let me be a samurai in feudal Japan and roam the countryside, just striking down other samurai, yeah, you would have my money.
That is kind of what Ghost of Tsushima is, though, from what I understand.
Say what?
I think that is what Ghost of Tsushima is, though, man.
I mean,
from what I understand, that's it. You wander around killing other dudes with a samurai sword.
Kind of, but like like if I would actually have to outwit other people, like that's I don't know. I think that just makes it totally different for me. It hits different that way for me.
No, that's fair. Well, can I just segue into my next one since you said that?
Sure, may as well. I only got one more anyways after
there
that.
Is a close combat battle royale coming. It's an extended preview went out to all the media sources, which kind of talked about it just recently. It's called Narada Blade Point. It was announced at the Game Awards, I think either last year or the year before it. And it's basically like a close combat anime style battle royale. And
I think I remember seeing this the year before because we were over at your house whenever we saw it at the Game Awards.
It was the year before, yeah. And it just looked really interesting. And the early previews are really good. They're like, it's got a really in-depth close combat fighting system, and the battle royale aspect makes it very interesting. And I guess it goes into open beta on the 23rd, which I don't know how to get into that yet. I'm going to try to, but I know that there is a beta of some sort coming for it. It might be closed. I don't know, but there's a beta for it on the 23rd, and it's supposed to release sometime this summer. So I'm kind of excited about that one. I wanted to mention it. So the fact that you brought up a samurai battle royale kind of feeds right into it.
Yeah, that's that game. I remember seeing that. I was like, oh, that's actually kind of really interesting. Yeah. That sounds like something that might be up my alley.
Yeah. You even pitched a game like that in the Horrible Arena once, I believe, like a battle royale where like you meet up with somebody and then you fight. Okay, you go. I think you've got two left, right?
No, just one. I had two, but the Discord one was one we overlapped on.
Right.
So Sony apparently has patented an AI bot.
Oh, God.
That will play your games for you.
What?
Apparently, the bot can monitor your play style, and then it can mimic it to take over playing if you're busy.
This is cheating. Isn't that cheating? Like, that's what the cheating bots do. That's what people get marked for cheating.
I mean, yeah, that's the first and foremost, yeah, that's cheating.
Yeah.
Second, maybe, I don't know, if you are that busy, don't play video games.
Yeah, I don't get what the cheaters get out of it. Like what? Like so you have a bot play the game for you until you're really high level, so that it's not fun anymore. Like I don't understand cheating in video games. I just never have, unless it's like crazy cheats, like old school, like like infinite lives, or I get all the chainsaws just to run amok for a second in GTA or something. But like, I don't understand cheating in games nowadays.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, the only application that I can think of is, everybody growing up when the early age of online multiplayer always was online in a game, and your mom or someone called for you to come downstairs to do something, and you're like, no, I can't do that, I'm in the middle of a game.
Right.
And they tell you to pause it, and of course, as the meme goes, one does not simply pause an online game.
Right.
So
Right.
maybe that's their response is, like maybe if I'm in the middle of a multiplayer Halo match and I got to take a dump, I can do that. Outside of that,
it's still cheating. Like, that's still
yeah,
like the
it's
game
still,
is playing
yeah.
for you. Like,
I mean, I can't imagine that
Oh.
it's better that it would make you any sort of better than you are normally. But at the same time, I can also see people who are going to try to monetize it like third party out. So like, hey, I'll come over to your house and play like Call of Duty for 4 hours. I'm better than you. So I'll train your bot how to play, and then people will think you're really good. And
I
I
don't know.
guaranteed 100%, if that's how that would all shake out, people would be spending 50, 60, 70 bucks left and right. Kids would be like, make them good.
This definitely gets into this weird spot though with like it's like, well, it's not going to play it better than you, but how do I know it's not going to play it better than me? You tell me it picks up on what I do, but it can't possibly do everything I'm going to do because I'm me and it's not me. Like, it's just, I don't know. It's just, I don't know. That's a weird spot.
Maybe it's
weird
how
way.
you learn that you're shitty at a game when you start playing it and the game starts giving you tips on how to play.
It's like, hey, maybe you should have done this. Okay, so my last one is PS Plus is looking to add video and TV content
I saw that.
to its system. I am assuming in a way to kind of like combat Games Pass because PS Plus sucks comparatively. No offense, it just does. Like, it just doesn't offer anywhere near what Games Pass does. So maybe they're doing that just to offer to kind of like balance that out. Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, that's actually when I first heard this story, I thought of two things immediately. The first being, wow, that's really cool that you can get movies as a part of that as well. It's all like Sony, Paramount sort of stuff that they would do with it. But also, that tells me that they are firmly rooted in not adopting something like Game Pass, which basically just turns the crown permanently over to Game Pass until they change their mind in regard to service, like a subscription service for games.
Right.
And B, they could very well be them admitting that they don't necessarily have that much in the pipeline right now.
Right.
I mean, we have, if you look at the consoles as they are right now in our new current generation, the PS5 has more PS5 exclusives than the Series X. I think the Series X only has like one that's actually exclusive.
Right.
But at the same time, just because it has more doesn't mean that there's a lot. We're still starving for something to really play on the PS5 that's PS5 exclusive. The first big one is, I think, going to be Returnal. Well, outside of the launch window.
Yeah.
I think is going to be Returnal. I mean, we have the other launch games like the Demon Souls remake and everything like that.
Right.
You have Returnal, then you're going to have Ratchet and Clank, and then... Bleh.
Yeah, because they don't have any other dates. Yeah, we don't know. All right, well, that's it for my odds and ends.
Alrighty. Well, I mean, that was it too because we doubled up on the one. So.
All right, so let's get to Horrible Arena.
Alrighty.
Horrible Gaming Podcast.
That brings us to the end of the show, the moment of truth, the main event. This is what you guys have all been waiting for, the Horrible Arena. This is where the two co-hosts will pitch you guys a game. It is based on pre-existing criteria that is either decided by the guest or we take turns. The last criteria that was picked, it was picked by Neil, and it was non-combat exploration game. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to pitch to you the title of the game, the developer of the game, and what the game is, the elevator pitch, so to speak. Then you guys get to take to all the places and decide which one you would spend your hard-earned money on if you had to choose. Tell us in the comments, and then we use those comments to decide the winner. The quantum coin has been tossed. Neil gets to go first. Take it away, buddy.
All right, so my game is going to be called Project Eratus, and it's going to be done by Undead Labs. So it's day 14 of your failed mission to repair a satellite relay on the edge of the Milky Way galaxy. All is going well until an unexpected solar storm knocks out the power to your ship, frying the power cells and leaving your ship powerless. Your head science advisor on the crew informs you that another solar flare is likely and the ship probably won't take another hit. But there is a bright side. The lead expeditionist in the crew tells you that according to what she sees, planet Eratus, right below you, should very well be habitable and should, if you want to, be able to take your crew down to the surface, set up an outpost where you could build a transmitter to radio for help. Using an escape pod, you take the crew and some basic supplies down to the surface, where you set up camp and begin to survey the land and get a feel for the environment. Project Eratus is a procedurally generated open world survival game where the goal is to help the camp, is to develop the camp to the point that they can build a radio signal transmitter to signal for help. The game would have the player primarily take the role of the captain of the disabled ship, where you would dictate to the heads of each department of the crew what to do and assign the rest of the crew members to assist in whatever jobs are needed to be accomplished. So the departments would be a science, expedition, development, or survival department. So the science would be in charge of researching local wildlife and foliage. Expedition would be gaining an understanding of the layout and the land and creating maps of the area that you're in. Development would be creating and maintaining a home base of operations. And survival would be gathering food and water for everyone to well survive. The game would begin by the player choosing from one of 4 main regions of the planet to start from: a dry, arid climate, grassy plains, rocky, mountainous regions, a frozen tundra, or a combination of those regions where the borders meet. This can set up replayability or can cater to different play styles or even difficulties depending on the region that you choose. Obviously, dry areas would be more limited in the water that would be available. A grassy plain would probably be easier to start on. So I just lost where I was on my thing because I clicked my mouse and my sticky note went away. Okay, there it is. So the players then dropped in with a set number of crew members in an area, and the area populates with random plant life and wildlife indigenous to that area. At this point, there is a broad map available to the player. However, it is completely blank, and there's very little food and water initially available. This is where the player is tasked to divide up the crew into groups to set things into motion. The expedition group goes out and charts a radius from the starting point, while the science group begins to research what type of life is in the area. The development team begins building a home base, and the survival team begins gathering supplies. Of course, all the teams need to work together, as progress on one team could affect another. As an example, the science team can figure out what plants could be poisonous and what could be eaten, and then tells the survival team. Discovery of different natural land formations found by the expedition team can affect where the development team may want to build out a base. All of these are influenced by the decisions that the player makes, such as how many people are allocated to whatever team and those people's particular stats, which are also generated. The crew would be randomly generated from a list of the set number of people who all have particular weaknesses and strengths. And as the captain, it is your job to assign them to whatever job you would want them to be doing, as they would be a best fit for. At this point, when the jobs are all assigned, the player can then jump between crew members of each of the departments to better influence exactly how each team completes each job, allowing the player to physically go and be the one exploring the world. can be the one discovering animals, to be the one building the settlement, or to be the one going out and gathering supplies, basically letting you be the entire team whenever you want. And the amount of crew that are assigned to any team could also affect the development of things regarding that team, such as more resources being able to be collected by survival team if your survival team has more people or fewer people, depending, better results for more people. But of course, you have a set number of people. So if you boost one, you're going to limit the other. And of course, there's always the possibility of aggressive wildlife on any uncharted planet. So there may be times during exploration that a group could be attacked. But given everybody on this station is basically a bunch of nerds and a bunch of scientists, the crew does not have much agency to fight back against the attack. So it is imperative that the group is careful. However, if put in the situation where the group would be attacked, then time would slow to a crawl, and the player would be given a list of potential actions that each crew member that is going to be attacked could make, such as running away or hiding or trying to distract the attacking creature to save other people. This gives the player agency over the attack that plays out and the results from it as well. As given this is an uncharted planet, there, again, are no other humans, so permadeath is a factor that has to be considered in this game. So that is my project, Project Eratus.
That's a really, really good pitch, man. I feel like that's got some combat in it, though.
See, I don't know. I mean, we'll leave that up to the people, but the combat, it's not combat. You are not fighting back.
I'm honestly glad you said something, because mine has conflict in it, but it doesn't have combat in it. I was skirting the issue too, and now I feel a lot better about skirting it since you did.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, we did this once before. I think Logan was on. We did it 3 ways.
Oh,
I can't remember. We did this. This was a long time ago when we did this, and right. When I pitched mine at that point, it was literally just like a walking in the woods simulator. So, I mean, let's be real. Anything that is exploration based, you are going to be very hard pressed to not have some sort of conflict,
right?
Or there is not, something to do. Whenever I considered this idea, it was not the main goal or the main thing be like, go attack the things or go fight or anything like that. The main mechanic is something else. It's that main exploration that's driving it. Of course, like I said, it's going to be hard to have a game that has zero conflict. Even puzzle games have conflict, for God's sake.
Right.
So, I mean, yeah, I would say that that's not primarily conflict. I mean, obviously, I couldn't even pitch something where you're on a random ass alien planet without having some sort of conflict in it.
I thought you were just going like anti-elements basically at first, and then when the combat came in, I was like, okay. But like I said, I am very happy. I'm not arguing with it because I have a little bit of conflict in mine too. So,
well, let's hear it.
Okay. All right. Mine is Project Yakuman. So mine, this one was a tough one for me. It was very hard for me to pitch. So I just decided to do something crazy and different that I would want to see that I know most of you out there wouldn't. So I'm just going to pitch it, see how it goes. So Project Yakuman will be developed by Ubisoft, unfortunately. I kind of wanted a more Japanese developer, but none of them really do procedural generation very good, and I do want some procedural generation in my game. So here we go. And honestly, I was going to give it to Undead Labs, but I've given so many to Undead Labs, so I didn't want to do this one too. So Project Yakuman, you will make a character right off the bat, a character from feudal Japan. You're not a samurai. You're not a ninja. You are a young 19-year-old kid about to set out on his own who has an ability to play mahjong really well. That's right. Japanese mahjong, Riichi mahjong is going to be the center of this game. Your father passes down to you his ancestral tile set and says, you're good, you should deserve it. Go out and, explore the countryside, meet new people, and kind of, sow your oats as a Mahjong player and a gambler. So basically what you do is it will be third person for most of the game. You will actually go through the countryside, kind of like Breath of the Wild. There's not going to be a lot of things trying to kill you or attacking you, but you can move through the countryside, pick there's going to be all sorts of collection stuff, just like the other ones, like picking leaves and finding stuff. But you'll basically move to the next city from feudal Japan, and then what will be procedurally generated will be the game opportunities there based on your character's level and how high you've gotten. As you play and win in Mahjong, you will actually level up your character and be able to get perks that actually aid you in the playing of Mahjong, which will be really interesting to see, such as the luck will get more in your favor. It'll get easier for you to get the tiles that you need. What's really cool about that is there'll be a couple of different games that you can play. You can play games where you're just winning money. You can play games where you win kind of prestige or stock over the land, so people know you as a better player. You can also play companion games where procedurally generated, this is where the procedural generation will be characters that you can kind of pick up, who, if you beat them, they'll want to travel with you and kind of join your gambler's entourage. What's interesting about this is you can pick up people that aren't necessarily Mahjong players to help you out in certain situations, because sometimes when you win that Mahjong game, people are going to try and kill you instead of pay you. So you can actually maybe hire a bouncer or get a bouncer along the way who will follow you around and do the fighting for you. Maybe you can get a cook so that you don't have to buy the food, because there will be a survival aspect. You will have to actually eat every so often and sleep every so often. But you could get a cook who can cook you food when you're out on the road and you can't get to that place to eat. Maybe you can get somebody who can teach you a new thing or give you a static or passive bonus to your Mahjong playing. As you kind of explore the countryside and get better. Almost, I want the feel of this to almost be what the old Game Boy Pokemon games were, just without the Pokemon, and you're playing Mahjong. I think that would be just a really cool thing. I love Mahjong, and I'd love to just see that in this light, along with exploring the Japanese countryside would be cool. What's really cool about the procedural addition generation to this, because every one of my games has to have some sort of multiplayer integration. Now, you can definitely go online and play Mahjong multiplayer against your friends. That's totally going to be allowed. But what will be really cool about this is a lot of the procedurally generated characters that you meet along the way will be based off, kind of like the Drivatars from Forza Horizon, other people's characters in the Mahjong game. So if you have other friends online that play it, their friend might pop up in your procedural generation. If they're in a city in one place and you run into that city, they might end up in that game against you. And then you can actually, say to your friend, hey, I beat you while you were here or whatever. So that's my game, Project Yakuman. If anybody's wondering, Yakuman is the word for the highest hands you can get in Mahjong, which is why I made that the title. I know most people won't get that. But that's mine, Project Yakuman, Project Aratus. I think they're really good pitches. I'm really interested to see which ones. I do want to propose something, Neil, since we're a little bit ahead on time.
Okay.
I want to propose a slight change to the Horrible Arena.
Okay.
I want to propose a hot seat round. So what we would do from now on Horrible Arenas is after we make our bulk pitch, the other person gets to ask 3 questions that you have to answer on the spot.
Like about our pitch?
Yes. Like about your pitch and about your game. I think that would be a really cool addition to it. What do you think?
I think we should kick it down to 1.
Okay. I'm down with that. So from now on, each one of us will get 1 overall question about the pitches in the moment. We don't have to start that this week. We could start it next week.
Okay.
And I have the decision on what we're going to base the next game on, correct?
Yes, you do.
Okay, so I want to pitch your best detective game. It doesn't necessarily, it can be any genre. It just has to be centered around solving mysteries in some way, shape, or form.
resisting the urge to not pitch an Inspector Gadget.
Oh, pitched Inspector Gadget. Are you kidding? Like, you shouldn't say that ahead of time because you're giving your hand away, but that's a good-ass pitch. A good-ass pitch.
I don't.
Okay, so that's it, guys. You have the pitches. Go to all the places that we are about to tell you and vote. We'll be right back to tell you where those places are.
Horrible Gaming Podcast.
All right, so that brings us to the end of the show and the shameless self-promotion that comes with it. Neil, you got anything special you want to plug this week?
You know what? We are getting ready to start recording the next season of Halo Infinite Road, going into Halo 3. And in the meantime, we are still going to have Halo Infinite War going up. We still have a couple more episodes of that left. And I got to say, I know we recorded that a while ago, but it really was just so much fun. And Kev kind of hit the nail on the head with that one when he was talking about his days at the LAN parties back in the day.
Yeah.
And it really did feel pretty close to a LAN party, especially in my house, because my wife was playing on the Xbox downstairs as I was up on the computer. And I think it might be the next episode or the episode after you can actually hear me yelling. Through her microphone when something happens. I don't want to give it away. Something happened and it was just shenanigans.
It was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun all the way around.
It really was. It really was a lot of fun.
And as for Halo Infinite Road, it will be the week from this Thursday that we will put our first Season 3 episode up. We're taking 2 weeks this time instead of one just because of weird scheduling conflicts. But I'll probably put something up that Thursday in that place. But after that, it will be the week after this Thursday, basically.
Yes.
So that being said, the normal pitches. As usual, guys, OMGW, it's wrapping up its second season. I am super proud of it. It is great. The episode that just went up, if you're listening the day before this, if you're watching 2 days before this, is the triple threat match where myself and Iceman Neil, Zachariah Hardrock and Iceman Neil are in the main event for the title along with the Marauder. Super great match, super great episode. They are all pretty long, so set aside some time, but I urge you guys to check that out, please. So many people on the community put so much work into that show that it's just the thing that I'm most proud of always, I think. Other than that, I do want to give a special plug to Outriders 330, which debuted 2 weeks ago. I think 2 weeks. And we are now about to hit our third episode. We're back with 330 doing the Outriders, so that's a lot of fun as well. And then I got to give this last special pitch. Red Delirium, Nick Van Slyter's first full album, is actually complete. I know all the songs were up there first, but we reorganized them in the way that he wanted them for the CD. We also added an intro track, which is only like 52 seconds long, but it gives all the track titles and everything. And I think I'm going to try and put them together in one video as like a compilation so you could just listen to it all the way through. But yeah, please check that out. He did some great music for us. He has told me that some new music is coming. I'm very eager for that, but please check that out. It is complete, and it is in the form that he wanted it listened to. Other than that, guys, you can check us out on Facebook at OhManGamingDH, on Twitter at OhManGaming9. You can join our Discord. The link is in the description below. You can influence this and all of our shows from there. Please like, please subscribe, please turn the bells on, all the YouTuber rigmarole. But other than that, as long as you guys keep watching and listening, we will keep making them. We'll see you guys next week. All right. I am done. We are done. I did get to see Mortal Kombat, by the way.
My biggest question is it as campy as the old movies? Or does it try to take itself more serious?
It does not. So here's the thing. I think if you compared it to the old movies, it's better. Like, it takes itself more serious, which I think it should, than the old ones. But there are still, like, really corny lines of dialogue. There's a lot of people that act way more badass in certain situations than they should. You know, like there's an entire scene where like one dude has a wife and like she's not bothered at all that there's like interdimensional beings trying to kill them. You know, she just goes along with it. There's no conversation of like, are you sure you're not crazy? Like nothing like that. It's just like he's like, I have to fight in an interdimensional tournament. Okay, cool. Like it's just like stuff like that. Like, and it's nice. It's almost refreshing in its unrealism in a way because you're like, sweet, I don't have to worry about that conversation. We could just get back to everybody murdering each other in really terrible ways. I will say there's a character that's not in it that kind of bummed me out. Like they allude to that character coming for the second one. I think there's definitely going to be a second one. This seemed popular enough so far. But other than that, the thing that I loved about it, Neil, and this isn't a spoiler, but the thing that I loved about it is, do you know who my favorite character from Mortal Kombat was from the original one?
I feel like you would enjoy a Johnny Cage.
Okay. I would enjoy a Johnny Cage, but he's not my favorite character from the video game, not the original movie, the video game.
Yeah.
My favorite character is Kano.
Oh, okay.
And nobody likes Kano. Everybody hates Kano. And then Kano was represented in the original movie as like just the worst. Like not even like a badass. He's a moron. He's like basically constantly like not sexually abusive, but constantly that's the connotation that he's trying to basically rape Sonya Blade, you know,
right,
through the entire first movie. And then he just fucking dies. Like, I was so bummed by his character in the first movie. He is in this movie way more than I thought he was going to be. The character who plays him is amazing, and I'm like, yes. Like, this is my Kano. This is the Kano that I'm excited for. And that's one of the things that I loved, is he, like, kind of steals the movie a little bit. Like, and I was like, sweet. Like, my favorite character who, like, most people you'd be like, who the fuck is Kano? Like, that's how long ago he was, and he's not that big of a character now, you know? But yeah, he is, like, a major character in this first movie, and he's fucking awesome in it. Just fucking awesome. So, yeah, like, that was my favorite part, is that Kano, like, finally, like, justice for Kano. Hashtag justice for Kano. We got it. He's fucking awesome in this. Other than that, the only other thing that bothers me, the only things that bother me is the first thing being the main character, the hero, is not anybody I think is in any video game.
Yeah, I watched a review, I think it was a review IGN did, and they had mentioned this dude too. And yeah, I don't think he's not in anything. He's just like movie original, which is a bizarre choice.
Bizarre choice, because you have a canon that includes, what, hundreds of characters at this point? I mean, there's 12 fucking games. There's got to be just tons of characters, right? Like, for them to weirdly center it around this rando, and like I'm just sitting there like, who the fuck is this guy? Like, I thought 100% when I first saw him he was Liu Kang, and then like he says his name and I'm like, that's not his real name. You're gonna find out his name is Liu Kang, and then you meet Liu Kang and I'm like, oh, that's Liu Kang. Who the fuck is this guy? And then by the end of the movie I'm like, I don't think this guy is anybody. I think he's just a guy, and he's not bad. I don't think he's terrible or anything. It's just like, for me, I thought it was very strange to just write in a character in a game that has non-stop characters, like just hundreds of characters to choose from. You wrote in a new character. It's very strange to me, you know?
Right.
And then the other thing I didn't like was, now I can't remember what the other thing I didn't like was. I don't know. I mean, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed watching it. I went into it, and then after the first, like, not the first fight scene, because that's real sad. Like, I actually had, like, a tear going on that one, because I hadn't watched those first 7 minutes. And then, like, I watched that for the first time, and I was like, good Christ, I don't know if I could do the rest of this movie. And then, like, then the second fight scene happens, and it's like a nothing fight scene. You'll know what I mean. And then the third fight scene happens, and that's the one that I'm like, holy shit, I'm all in and just laughing my ass off. Like when one dude, like I'd ruin it if I kept going, but like it gets so like there's a moment where they fight this thing, and like that's the moment where you're like it gets so ridiculous. Like that you just start laughing and you're like, okay, I'm done. I'm all in. This is going to be great. And it is. It's just like I said, there's lines of dialogue that like nobody would talk the way they talk sometimes, stuff like that. But I think it's less campy than the original, but on a whole, it's good. It doesn't take itself too seriously, but it's fun. I'm excited for a second one. Let me put it that way.
So here's the overall question then.
Okay.
Is this the movie that you point to as the video game movie done right?
Ooh. I feel like there was another one recently that I thought was really good.
Sonic was pretty good.
Sonic was all right. There was some things about Sonic that made me angry, but it wasn't terrible.
Sonic was better than what I was expecting.
Yeah, I feel like the way they wrote it made their sequel problematic, personally. But I didn't hate just because you've added all these characters now,
yeah,
and now he's living in the house, and I'm like, what? How does Tails even fit into this shit? How does Knuckles fit? Like, how do they end up anywhere else? Like,
did you see the pictures from the set for this? By the way, they just got like a Knuckles standee just sitting there, like they gotta yell at this thing to do their line.
That's funny. Yeah, Sonic wasn't too bad. I won't say that Sonic was too bad. I felt like there was another one recently that I watched that I was like, that was really good, but I can't remember.
It wasn't Monster Hunter.
No, it was not Monster Hunter. Monster Hunter was not good. This one was definitely a video game done right. I definitely think that, they kept it close enough to the game that it was good. I mean, the other thing that I want to say is I stopped playing Mortal Kombat games many years ago. Many years ago. So there's a lot that, I don't necessarily think it's fair for me to judge if this is the game, because I don't know modern Mortal Kombat. I see their fatalities and I'm like, I don't want to get involved in this. I don't need somebody playing jump rope and somebody else's intestines on my screen. Not even because I have a kid. I don't want to see that. It's just too much for me. So I don't play the new ones, but I played the originals, and as far as that goes, I think it stays true, even truer to it than the original movies did, because the original movies totally botched Scorpion and Sub-Zero. The original movies, Scorpion and Sub-Zero were terrible.
I had to think about them for a second, because I can't even remember the last time I watched those two.
Yeah, Scorpion had a little fucking lizard in his hand that chased people around. In the original movies. In this one, he's Scorpion. He's got all, his backstory is exact to what it was in the original game. Whereas in the original movie, he was a demon who had a scorpion that came out of his hand. And Sub-Zero in the original movie was just a dude who shot ice. There was nothing behind it. This one, they at least got their rivalry correct,
Yeah. I'll have to watch it at some point.
I mean, the first 7 minutes tells you they got their rivalry right.
Oh yeah, it definitely did. The second that it started, I was already like, okay, I know exactly what's happening.
Yeah, exactly. So